Good afternoon, you're watching Mirror Now. I'm Sanjana Chauhan. On to our continuing coverage. An unnamed official dealing with the Chandrayaan 2 mission has told news agency PTI that the lander has made a hard landing on the lunar surface. The official says that the lander is in one piece after landing close to one of the predetermined touchdown positions. Now, the official goes on to say that the lander is currently in a tilted position and efforts continue to try and make contact with the lander. Now, let's remember ISRO lost contact with the lander on Saturday morning, just 2.1 kilometers short of the lunar surface. Right, let me quickly go across to my colleague Viren Farah, who's joining me live now from the Mumbai newsroom as we speak. Viren, take us through what exactly has been the findings of this unnamed official who's closely working with the Chandrayaan 2 mission.
Well, Sanjana, this official goes on to say that for the moment, the lander is intact. It's not broken into pieces, although they admit that there was a hard landing. So there's a bit of hope in all this news that the lander itself is intact. Now, what the official goes on to say that this lander, in fact, landed at close to one of the predetermined positions for landing on the surface of the moon. That being said, the lander is currently in a tilted position. So efforts still going to continue on the part of ISRO to try and continue to make contact with the lander because that will give us vital information about the surface of the moon and, of course, the attempts of ISRO to try and conduct some experiments on the surface. But that can only happen once contact is established between the lander itself and the scientists and the team handling this entire mission from the ISRO headquarters. But that being said, this is a key update following Saturday morning's news that the lander had in fact lost communication. Yesterday we had news that thermal images had been captured of the lander itself, and as I was explaining yesterday as well, the ISRO team would then go through all the details to try and find out what condition the lander is in from as much as they can glean from those images, what condition the lander is in, where it is actually, and then of course try and assess what damage, if any, has been sustained by the lander. It's of course a little difficult, as you can imagine, but the ISRO scientists, of course, best placed to gauge that. But there is some hope here, as they've been telling us, that they hope that they are able to re-establish contact, because there was contact initially. Just 2.1 kilometers short of the surface is when it lost contact. So we're still waiting on ISRO to come out with an official statement. And to be honest, it might take some time, because these things, there's an entire process that needs to be followed by ISRO. So all the best efforts being put forward there by the space agency as they try to re-establish contact. But for the moment, the key takeaway is that the lander itself is intact. It has made a hard landing on the surface of the moon. Further details awaited.
Right, Viren, what we're actually seeing is that this communication may be particularly hard also because of this hard landing, because it may have not gotten the right orientation and may have not landed on all four legs. So the impact, shock may actually be the reason for the lost communication.
Well, there could be a whole host of reasons because, from afar, there is only so much that one can learn. But once you have the telemetry data, as ISRO has been saying, of the descent itself of the lander, they'd be in a better position to actually tell us what could have caused this particular hard landing. So all that information is still being learned by ISRO, but all the data is being crunched there at the ISRO headquarters, as we can imagine. And the data they've learned yesterday as well from the thermal images will give them further insight into what could have happened and how they can actually fix the situation if that is a possibility in the days to come.
Right, Viren, stay with us. We also have Suresh Nayak, former director of ISRO, joining us on the phone line. Sir, good afternoon. Thank you so much for speaking with Mirror Now. The information that we're getting in is a rather significant development. What do you make of it? We understand that an unnamed official, saying that it has made a hard landing on the lunar surface, perhaps, but the lander is still there in one single piece. But obviously, communication is proving to be a challenge at this point.
Yeah, actually, the very fact that the lander is tilted, and it means one of its legs is on some kind of small boulders. And this means that, and this indicates that, the computer on board the lander was not really in the full control, because the earlier idea and the plan was the camera on the lander will take the pictures of the landing spot, and as per indicated and suggested by the ground control, it will select one of the two landing spots which are free of any boulders and, of course, any, you can say, the slope. It should be flat and without any boulders, so that it will not be tilted. The very fact that now, if it is standing in a tilted position, that means the lander's computer was not in fully controlled position, and that is why it has freely landed without the computer control, and that is how this situation has arisen. Now, the implication of this particular situation is, number one, the orientation of the lander is a very important thing from the point of view of getting sun's light for the operation, further operations. One is battery charging. Second is the deployment of the solar panels so that the energy will be generated. Now, if the tilting is not favorable from this point of view, then it is going to be sort of a adverse situation for the further operations.
Right.
We are really not knowing that. So
Okay.
this is the implication of it.
Suresh Nayak, former director of ISRO, thank you so much for putting that in perspective. It appears that there is some glimmer of hope after this very crucial development.